Managing an estate from hundreds of miles away is inherently isolating. You are tasked with overseeing a property in North Fulton, but your only connection to it is a set of keys and a stack of paperwork. As an executor, you have a strict legal duty to maximize the value of the estate for the heirs, but you have to execute this duty while completely blind to hyperlocal market behaviors and state-specific legal hurdles. It is easy to assume the process is straightforward. You read the will, hire a contractor to fix up the house, list it on the market, and cash out 30 days later. But let's look at how this plays out. On top, the expected path to sell in 30 days. Below, the actual path stretching up to 190 days. Delays hit when listings face probate bottlenecks, title rejections, zoning audits, or tax reassessments. Every month the house sits unresolved, it actively drains liquid cash from the estate to cover insurance, utilities, and maintenance. And as the timeline stretches, friction among co-heirs over what to do next almost always intensifies. The gap between standard real estate logic and local Georgia legal reality determines whether the estate successfully profits or bleeds liquid cash. The very first bottleneck usually happens before the house is even cleared out. Simply holding a will that names you as executor does not mean you have the immediate authority to sell. Before a property can legally hit the market, you have to verify your authority. This flowchart outlines the legal path, starting with a single question. Does the will grant a broad power of sale? If we follow the yes branch, meaning the explicit power to sell is granted, you can secure your letters testamentary and move to list quickly without needing a court hearing. But if the will is silent on this, or if the estate is intestate, we follow the no branch. You will have to file a specific petition with the probate court, requiring formal citations to all heirs and a mandatory statutory waiting period. If you skip this verification step and list the house anyway, Fulton County title underwriters will outright reject the title insurance. The entire transaction will stop dead. Trying to fix that mistake remotely with the Fulton County Probate Court is difficult. Filing locations and service center hours shift frequently, and failing to confirm them beforehand can waste weeks of processing time. Skipping direct legal verification to rush a listing guarantees a mid-transaction halt, plunging the estate into a 134 to 190-day delay that could have been avoided. Once the legal authority is clear, the next friction point is the physical house. You have to decide whether to spend estate capital on major renovations or sell the property as is. To understand what local buyers actually reward, we can look at this quadrant chart. It maps the effort required to manage a project remotely against its actual impact on the final sale price. Up here in the high-effort, low-impact quadrant, we see out-of-state executors sinking $50,000 to $80,000 of estate funds into full kitchen and bath remodels. But in North Fulton, buyers in the $700,000 to $900,000 tier strongly prefer to select their own custom finishes. Those expensive remodels provide zero dollar-for-dollar return, and they create massive remote management headaches for you. Moving down to the low-effort, high-impact quadrant, the optimal input is much simpler, deploying $10,000 to $15,000 strictly on cosmetic resets like neutral paint, floor refinishing, and servicing the HVAC system. These focused cosmetic updates routinely cut days on market from over 70 down to under 21. They generate competing offers that easily offset the initial spend. Preparing the house is only half the equation. Pricing it correctly requires understanding that Alpharetta is not a single homogeneous market. This side-by-side visualization shows how hyper-local pricing works. On the left, zip code 30005 carries a median price near $775,000 and averages 24 days on market. On the right, the denser inventory in zip code 30009 sits closer to $806,000 with 39 days on market. Overpricing an estate home by just 5% in this environment typically pushes holding times past 70 days, eventually forcing price cuts that exceed 10%. Overinvesting in unnecessary renovations and overestimating micro-market pricing ignores local buyer behavior, resulting in deep sunk costs and severely diminished net profit. Beyond the walls of the house, there are external geographic threats, specifically zoning laws and municipal borders, that exist entirely out of view. To avoid having a buyer walk away during due diligence, an executor must perform specific audits. This checklist highlights 3 common blind spots: clearing AG1 zoning, budgeting for HOA transfers, and modeling tax reassessments. Let's look at the AG1 zoning item. If the property sits near the Alpharetta-Milton border, unpermitted pool decks or extensive hardscaping are a trap. Violating Milton's 35-foot pool setback or impervious surface limits routinely surfaces during a title search. When buyers find out, they either terminate the contract or demand massive escrow holdbacks to cure the violations. Then there is the tax reassessment check. This is a critical hidden danger if you are holding the property while co-heirs argue over sale strategies. Upon the death of the owner, the home loses its decades-old senior property tax exemption. When it reassesses at fair market value, the annual tax bill can violently spike from roughly $3,000 to over $9,200. Allowing the property to sit during co-heir disputes actively drains estate cash through tax penalties and zoning liabilities, well beyond the mere delay of payout. The right path for the estate depends entirely on your ultimate priority. You have to decide if you are optimizing for speed and simplicity or absolute top dollar. This comparison matrix breaks down preparation and pricing strategies. Under the Efficiency First column, the inputs are straightforward. Confirm probate authority immediately, stick to light staging, and price strictly to the micro-market median. The trade-off for the Efficiency First approach is that you sacrifice potential top-tier market value, but you secure a guaranteed 54-day close and family peace. Under the Maximizer column, we see executors with a compliant will and extra time. They order preemptive title searches, cure AG1 zoning issues before listing, and invest capital in targeted cosmetic updates. The trade-off for the Maximizer approach is taking on a heavy, stressful remote management burden in exchange for squeezing an extra $25,000 out of the market. Physical distance from the property is the single biggest liability an executor faces. By abandoning standard real estate assumptions and aligning strictly with local Fulton County legal and market realities, out-of-state executors can protect the estate's net value while maintaining their own sanity.